God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Thy will, not mine, be done. Hi everybody, my name is Chaim. I'm a grateful recovering sexaholic. God has given me the gift of sobriety for 12 years, 11 months, and 24 days, which I could never be sufficiently grateful. And I'll start off by saying, we're holding by step 11. So last night I was sitting and talking with my wife, and I mentioned to my wife that I can't believe it. It's been 13 years, and I'm coming up on 13 years sobriety in a week. 13 years is a long time, and I just got emotional, and I told her 13 years is a long time. Yeah. And I'm turning 41. I came into the program when I was 27. And this is what her response to me was. It's the length of your sobriety is very important and beautiful, but it's not much, Chaim. What I appreciate is your emotional sobriety. And that's more important than everything. And to hear it from her was very special, very special. That she could acknowledge and see my emotional sobriety is extremely special. It's very humbling. A guy that's self-centered in the extreme, that only wants to see naked women, that wants the next massage parlor or strip club, that desires every form of acting out. A guy who's been broken to the core through trauma and childhood pain and insanity, and yet, that's not where I am today. So it's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. Step 11, we saw through prayer and meditation to do God's will and how to carry it out. The exact word. Sought through prayer and meditation to improve our conscious contact with God as we understand Him, praying only to know knowledge of His will and the power to carry it out. The reason I started off with that story is how is a guy who's addicted to lust and sex, in English, addicted to butts, to nakedness, supposed to be busy with trying to carry out God's will. That in itself does not make any sense. I mean, look at my step 1, and you're talking to me about carrying out God's will. Think of your lowest bottom, right? Think about the most insane thing you've done. And you're the type of guy that's going to be busy with carrying out God's will. It's what the hell are we talking about here? It says on page 98 in the big book, burn the idea into the consciousness of every man. Burn the idea into the consciousness. That means not hypothetical, it's a theory, not maybe, not it looks cute, but burn it into the consciousness of every man that he can get well regardless of anyone. Regardless of who your wife is, regardless of who your in-laws are, your parents, your childhood, your religion, your children, your finances, your lack of all the above. Burn into the consciousness of every human man that he as well can get well regardless of anyone. Meaning he's telling us that we know your excuse. We got your excuses. We understand that everybody else is a problem and did wrong. And you were traumatized and hurt and belittled and shamed and you don't understand my culture. We got it, regardless of anyone. The only condition, there's one condition. The only condition is that he trusts in God and clean house. So if there's a guy in program that's basically struggling, just ask him the two questions. Do you really trust in God, and are you cleaning house? Most likely he's 0 for 2. Most likely he's really not cleaning house, and most likely he really doesn't have a relationship with God. So how is somebody like me supposed to live a life of trying to give everything over to God and be God conscious? Is by continuously cleaning house and trusting God. It's crazy. I was reading Step 11 in the big book over here, and where was it? Here, page 85. Much has already been said about receiving strength, inspiration, and direction from Him who has all knowledge and power. Basically, the whole book is about giving us direction, inspiration, and strength to do His will. So again, this idea of I don't have the strength, I don't have the direction, I don't have the inspiration. The book gives it. The steps, the 10 steps that we took prior to this step gave it to us. If we have carefully followed direction, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. It's a powerful little sentence he says here. If we have carefully followed direction, we have begun to sense the flow of His Spirit into us. That means a guy who's taking this program serious and has gone through all the 10 steps and is coming to meetings and is working with others, he's a person that feels the sense of God flowing into him. Pretty cool. To some extent, we have become God conscious. We have begun to develop His virtual sixth sense. We become God conscious. We feel God's Spirit flowing through us. There's 5 senses, we know. The book is telling us there's a 6th. There's more than touch, smell, taste, feel. What am I missing? Touch, taste, smell, feel, and see. Hear. There's a 6th. It's called a Godsense. You get to be able to basically see what God wants. We're able to see what God wants if we really work this program. I mean, tell me if you identify. I had a sex and lust sense my entire life. I walk into a place and I know exactly the lust vibe of the room in 1 second. Which girl, which not, what is available, what is not, where my MO is, what I would like to do with who. Within a second, I figured out the entire room. A sex sense. We had a 6th sense. It was called sex and lust. Can you imagine that 6th sense the big book is telling us it could be replaced with a God sense? If we truly work this program and go through the 10 steps. You know, Avi's celebrating a year today. I had the privilege. We're going to ask Avi after the meeting how he did it. I have the privilege of taking him through the steps. You know, the big book talks about this. To watch a guy awaken to God. To watch somebody who is self-centered, thinking only about himself, pissed like hell at the world, to becoming God conscious. I'm looking around the room, so many people who I've worked with loser, so many people that it's like to watch people go from a place, I want my drug called sex and lust and get the hell out of the way. And I'm willing to kill for it. I'm even willing to believe that my wife is not the right one for me in order to have sex and lust. I'm willing to kill her, basically, in my head. I'm willing to wipe away my family, finances, everything, in order to get the choice of drug. I know by me, it was my story when you told me, Chaim, you're married, you have a wife and children. The first thing that came out of my mouth, I don't care. What? Excuse me? Total abstract from the world. Through cleaning your channel between you and God, you could become God conscious and have a sixth sense. So what I want to talk about is what, I sat with Shia the other day. We spoke for like a half an hour. Was this idea of called okay. Okay. When you call somebody on the phone, you ask them, how you doing? Are you okay? We don't ask them, are you fabulous? Are you amazing? Is life phenomenal? You say, are you okay? There's a concept in this world called okay that me, the sexaholic, doesn't understand. It's either I need to feel such a drug and adrenaline rush of the lust of the lure where traffic lights and signs and time and money and wife and children have no value. I need such an energy boost. Or I need to feel so awakened and so spiritually fit that I'm on a drug also. I know myself when I used to speak to the old timers about meditation, and they said, just sit for 2 minutes in quietness and just be quiet and okay. And it's like, that's it. And then what? When do I meet God hand in hand? When do we hug it out? When do we? No, just to be okay. That's what I want to talk about. This whole idea of what I'm saying, what I started off talking about, we could become God conscious, allows us to be okay. Things don't baffle us like they used to. They don't bother us like they used to. I recently lost a substantial amount of money, at least for myself. And Shaul asked me the other day, so you're not going bonkers? You're not losing it? And it hit me. It's like so cool. It hit me. It's like